gentlemen, kids of all ages, welcome to the Verb Circus, the Vaughn radio program where we'll review the most important verbs in English in a fun and challenging way. Be sure to pay attention because you'll be tested on your understanding throughout the program. Let the show begin. All right, feeling good today? Feeling good? I hope you're feeling good too. I'm excited about the show today. Another episode of the Verb Circus. My name is Kyle Miller, and as always, welcome to the Verb Circus, and let's get the show started by spinning the verb wheel. Oh, boy. Oh, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. We have two verbs today. And I've noticed lately, I've been spinning the wheel, and I see two verbs appear, two verbs that are often confused with each other, and that's exactly what has happened today. But today we have two verbs that maybe you've never really thought about why they're similar or really what the difference is, but you're going to say, wow, Kyle, what an interesting show, because this is a very interesting comparison of two similar verbs, but the differences are, hopefully will be very clear. Rise and raise. Rise and raise, okay? Now, it's not my style. Let's be honest. It is not my style to get into overly technical discussions of advanced grammar and all this. I like to drill. I like to give you the real deal, the reality of how this language works. I don't want to get into too many rules, but today I will have to mention a few rules because they will make it easier for you. My goal on the Verb Circus is to try to make you understand these verbs, okay? I am trying to help you as much as possible to make you understand these verbs, and I think here a little bit of grammatical explanation is appropriate. Both of these verbs essentially mean to move upwards, but they're not interchangeable. Okay? Rise is what we call an intransitive verb, and raise, R-A-I-S-E, is a transitive verb. Okay? Raise being a transitive verb. Raise. Hacer subir. Elevar. Accionar hacia arriba. Izar. Levantar. Okay? Now, a transitive verb, such as raise, is one that requires an object. It requires an object to cause the motion. I raise my hand. Whenever I have a question, I raise my hand. I, the subject, I raise my hand. Okay? Now, to raise the drawbridge, sube el puente levadizo. Raise the drawbridge. Raise the drawbridge. An imperative. Raise the drawbridge. Do it now. Raise the drawbridge. We'll raise your salary if you achieve the goal. Subiremos tu sueldo si consigue el objetivo. We'll raise your salary if you achieve the goal. This plan will raise our profits by 10%. We're talking about the plan, but the plan will raise our profits by 10%. So we need an object there. Okay? So in these, notice how we have an object after raise. Okay? It is the object that goes up, okay, that increases, that goes up, okay? So now rise, on the other hand, rise, R-I-S-E, is an intransitive verb in that it has no object. It does not require a direct or indirect object. In fact, it can't take a direct or indirect object. So to rise, ascender, subir, por sí solo. Levantarse, aumentar por sí solo. Intransitive verbs do not require an object. Rise does not require an object to do the motion. Okay? Does this make sense? I really hope you understand. Now, the sun rises in the east. It rises itself. The sun rises. Now, a person can rise in their rank, let's say in the military. Juan ascendió a rango de comandante. John rose to the rank of major in the military. Prophets are expected to rise 10% next year. Okay, in these sentences, notice how there's no direct object. What goes up is the subject. The sun, John, the prophets, not the object or complement. Okay? So some common uses of rise, right? The intransitive, rise, to move into an upright position from lying or kneeling. To rise, if you're seated in church, the minister say, "All rise," and he asks you to rise, to stand up. Or the priest, he will ask you to stand up, to rise. Okay? And to move upward without assistance, like the sun, for example. The sun always rises. The sun rises in the east, and it sets in the west. It goes down, it sets in the west. Right? And to return, we also say to return from the dead, to rise from the dead. Jesus rose from the dead. Or Michael Jackson in his video Thriller. I don't think in reality Michael Jackson, unfortunately, will ever rise from the dead. But in the video Thriller, he rose from the dead. Are you familiar with that? Thriller, in fact, the greatest selling album of all time. I'm pretty sure the best-selling album ever, Thriller. In the video, which was a really long video, very interesting. Anyhow, in the video, he rose from the dead. Yeah. On the other hand, raise means, let's say, to elevate. She raised the bar in the competition. To raise the bar means to set a higher standard. To raise the bar. Like Michael Phelps, swimming, he set all those world records. He won all the gold medals at the Beijing Olympics, and he has raised the bar. He has set a new, higher standard for swimming. Okay? To lift something up. Raise your hand, please. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying at home. Raise your hand. I hope your hand's in the air now, because I hope you have raised your hand. Okay? And we also have to bring to maturity, to raise a child. I was raised in Canada. I was raised by my mother and father. I was raised by my parents. Crier, to bring up a child. To raise a child. Now you can also, to get a raise, or there it's behaving as a noun. A raise as a noun, it can be an increase in salary. I hope my boss gives me a raise. I hope he raises my salary. If my boss raises my salary will rise. It will increase. Do you understand? If my boss raises my salary will rise. Okay? Let's take a look at the conjugation of today's verbs. The verb raise is a regular verb. And it is conjugated as follows. Raise, raised, raised. R-A-I-S-E-D. No extra syllable. Raise, raised, raised. You have to fit that D sound in, but not adding an extra syllable. The verb to rise is an irregular verb, and it is conjugated as follows. Rise, rose, just like rosa, the flower, rose, risen. Rise, rose, risen. Rise, rose, risen. Okay? Every week, I rise at 7:30. I get up. I rise from my bed. I get up at 7:30. I rise. Last week, I rose early. Lately, I've risen early from my bed. We don't normally say to rise as in to get up, but it's true, I am rising from my bed. I've risen early. Don't forget the S in the third person singular. The sun rises around I'd say around 6:45. Yesterday the sun rose at 6:50. Lately, it's risen very early. Okay? And now with raise, I raise my glass to my friends. Chin chin, to raise. I raise my glass. My glass rises because I raise it. I raise my glass to my friends. Yesterday I raised my glass to my friends. Lately I've raised my glass to my friends. And in the third person, he raised his hand to ask a question. Yesterday he raised his hand to ask a question. Lately, he's raised his hand to ask a lot of questions. Okay? With a few more examples here. The sun rises every morning. It rises on its own. It rises in the east, and it sets in the west. It rose once. It has risen once today. It rose once yesterday. It rises every day. Once and only once. Right? If it ever rises more than once in a day, we're going to have some problems, right? To rise, the sun rises. It appears. She rose from her nap around 2 o'clock. I take a nap sometimes. If I have time, I take a nap, and I rise from my nap after about 20 minutes. I don't nap very long. Nap, to take a siesta, to take a nap. I don't usually have time, but if I do, sometimes I will take a nap, and I rise after about 20 minutes. When I was in school, I always raised my hand when I had a question. My hand rose when I raised it. I think taxes seem to be rising. The government is raising taxes. If the government increases taxes, we say the government is raising taxes. The taxes are rising. I don't know if that's true right now, though. I don't think taxes are necessarily rising. Okay? You can raise someone up onto your shoulders, too. Like these football teams. When someone scores the big goal, wins the match, their teammates sometimes raise them up onto their shoulders to be physically lifted up onto their teammates' shoulders. Okay, let's see if you understand. This is not easy. You may find this a little bit tricky, but it's time to move on to the translation challenge. Translation challenge. Okay, folks, I will be very impressed if you get 10 out of 10 correct answers. Let's see. Try your best. Try your best, ladies and gentlemen, here on the translation challenge. I'm going to read the sentence in Spanish. You simply translate it into English. You might want to write these down. Get out a piece of paper at home, okay? Get out a piece of paper and a pen. I'm going to read the sentence in Spanish. Write it down. And then after, I will give you all the answers. One by one, actually. I will give you the answers, and then you can see how well you do. Number 1. Está subiendo. It's rising. Number 2. Necesitamos levantar la moral en esta empresa. We need to raise the morale in this company. Morale, we say. We need to raise the morale in this company. People will feel better if they have a greater morale, if we raise the morale. Number 3. Levantemos nuestras copas y brindemos. Let's raise our glasses and toast. Let's raise our glasses and toast. Brindar, to toast. And we say, when we do that in English, we say cheers. But the action, the brindar is, to have a toast, which is a noun, a toast. The verb as well, the verb to toast, but also the noun to have a toast. I propose a toast to the Verb Circus. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your glass to the Verb Circus, everybody. You raise your glass, and then you say, cheers. You bang your glass, you touch your glasses together. Cheers, right? Chin chin. Cheers. Number 4. Él siempre da la talla. He always rises to the occasion. He always rises to the occasion. I think good football players should be able to rise to the occasion. In the big matches, they should be able to perform at a high level. Like Zidane. He always rose to the occasion. He always performed well in the big matches, didn't he? I think he did. Number 5. ¿Puedes subirlo solo un poquito más? Can you raise it just a little bit more? Can you raise it just a little bit more? Just a little bit more? I need it to be a little bit higher. Can you raise it just a little bit more? Number 6. El humo de una vela siempre sube. The smoke from a candle always rises. The smoke from a candle always rises. This is true. The smoke always rises. Number 7. Estás subiendo porque lo estoy subiendo. It's rising because I'm raising it. This is a good one. This is my favorite on the whole list. It's rising because I'm raising it. If you got this one correct, then you probably understand my concept pretty good. You probably understand my explanation. And you understand this concept. It's rising because I'm raising it. Number 8. Los precios suben cuando la demanda sube. Prices rise when demand rises. Prices rise, R-I-S-E, when demand rises. So demand, third person singular, rises, R-I-S-E-S. 2 syllables, rises. Prices rise when demand rises. Say that out loud at home, en voz alta, right now. Prices rise when demand rises. Good job. Number 9. Mi tío cría ganado vacuno y ovejas en su rancho. My uncle raises cattle and sheep on his ranch. My uncle raises cattle and sheep on his ranch. On his ranch, su rancho. Number 10, last but not least, number 10. Los peces muertos siempre suben a la superficie. Dead fish always rise to the surface. Dead fish always rise to the surface. It's true, because they float. They float, so they rise to the surface. Dead fish always rise to the surface. Well done. Well done. I hope you got all 10. I hope you got number 6. I like that. I'm sorry, not number 6, number 7. It's rising because I'm raising it. Very interesting. Nice. Good job. Good job. Okay, let's move on now to something related. Something very related. I want to talk about 2 new verbs that are related in that the difference is, again, the transitive versus intransitive question. These verbs are lay and lie. Okay, to lay something down. Lay is a transitive verb. I can lay my pen down on the table. I lay my books down on the table. I lay my hand on the table. I lay my bag in the corner of the room. Okay, to lay down a transitive verb, similar to raise. I raise my hand, and then I lay my hand down on the table. Okay? On the other hand, lie, L-I-E, is the intransitive verb. To lie is intransitive, so I can lie down on the bed, for example, because I'm doing it myself, to myself. I lie down on the bed. There's no object there. The subject lies down. I lie down on the bed. Okay? So raise and lay both require an outside object to do the action. You raise something up and you lay it down. Rise and lie are done to oneself. You rise yourself up and lie yourself, or the subject of the sentence, down. Okay? She raised up her arms in disgust. She laid down the pillow on her bed. They will rise up against their oppressors. All she wanted to do is lie down on the sofa for 15 minutes. Okay? Also, another interesting point here, to raise, and I did mention it in the translation. It appeared to raise a child. Crier, to bring up or to raise a child. I was raised, like I said, I was raised in Canada. I was raised by my parents. I was raised in a small town. I was not raised in a city. Okay? I heard a story of the boy in Russia who was raised by a pack of wolves. Could you really be raised by an animal, do you think? He must have been an interesting guy. This boy who apparently was raised by wolves. You know, he was abandoned by his family and was raised by wolves. I think maybe it's a legend. I don't know. But grammatically it's fantastic. Whether it's real, who knows? Let's move on. Let's move on to the interrogative challenge. Interrogative challenge. Okay, you probably found that the translation challenge was a little bit difficult today. But let's try the interrogative challenge. I think it should be a little bit easier. And again, as you practice, it's like I say, practice makes perfect. You just have to practice at home again and again and again. And even by practicing the interrogative challenge and hearing my answers, you will improve, I promise. I hope you listen regularly to the show because you will improve so much by listening, I'm sure. Number 1, the sun rose at 6 o'clock. What time did the sun rise? So again, I'm giving you the answer, and you have to ask me the question that I have answered. The sun rose at 6 o'clock. What time did the sun rise? Number 2, they will raise our salaries in June. When will they raise our salaries? Number 3, we rose because they played the national anthem. El himno nacional, the national anthem. Why did you rise? Why did you rise? Number 4, John raised his hand. Who raised their hand? Notice how we use their hand. Their hand, because we don't know the gender. It could be a male or a female, so we say their. Even though in this case it's singular, we're talking about one person, but we have to say their because we don't know if it's going to be male or female. Who raised their hand? John. John raised his hand. Number 5, he raised his left hand. Which hand did he raise? Which hand did he raise? Oh, his left hand. Number 6, it rose up to 500 meters. It rose up to 500 meters. How high did it rise? How high? How high? Well, up to 500 meters. Incredible. How high did it rise? Number 7, she raised it because it wasn't high enough. Why did she raise it? Why did she raise it? Number 8. They raised the flag after the ceremony. When did they raise the flag? Number 9. It had risen to 2,000 feet before it started to fall. It had risen to 2,000 feet before it started to fall. How high had it risen before it started to fall? Past perfect. How high had it risen before it started to fall? Number 10. Taxes rose because the president raised them. Why did taxes rise? Why? Why? Because the president raised them. Why did taxes rise? Taxes rose because the president raised them. Sure. If someone raises something, well, it's going to rise, right? Okay, I hope you did well. I hope you did very well on the challenge. It is time to move on. We are running out of time. It is time to move on to the expression of the day. Expression of the day. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. The expression of the day today: to raise hell, to cause trouble, initiate problems, typically complaining about something. He raised hell because the company wouldn't raise his salary. Would you raise hell if your company didn't raise your salary? To raise hell. You say poner el grito en el cielo. To raise hell. To really complain about something. To raise hell. All right. Well, thank you very much. We are completely out of time today. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, my name is Kyle. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any feedback, check out the website, www.vaughanradio.com. And you can go to, there's a section in the upper right-hand corner. You can send me some feedback. Tell me what you think of the show. Thank you so much for listening to the Verb Circus, the show that really helps you raise your level of English. See you next time.